First of all, tonight I stand with every Kurdish person in Syria and Iraq and around the world in absolute horror at what has been allowed to happen. I was in Syria, in Rojava, meeting General Mazloum Abdi of the Syrian Democratic Forces in October, and also visiting the Al Hol camp. And exactly what I feared has transpired. There has been an absolute callous disregard for the sacrifice of the Syrian Kurdish troops that have made enormous sacrifices, lost 11,000 fighters, 33,000 wounded to fight ISIS for the world, for the United States. And now we abandon them to the jihadist elements that are obviously part of al-Shara's army. And from January 6th, they have been terrorizing, evicting, displacing, murdering Yazidi people and Kurdish minorities, and they've moved all the way to the center of Rojava, which was under SDF governance. And so what's happening is expected. The deliberate release of ISIS extremists from prisons and the capture of Al Hol camp. The SDF took fallen soldiers while trying to defend these extremely radicalized populations from the general population. But it seems that Tom Barak's policy is to go with everything that the Turkish ambition might want to be and completely imperil the minorities of northeast Syria. We are looking at a new climate that could ignite an ISIS genocide almost 10 years after your region suffered exactly that. I am sorry to say that the feelings are running very high in the United States. I'm an American citizen, and many of us as American citizens have major questions for our own administration as to how this could be allowed. And therefore, emotions are extremely high. This is an absolute betrayal of the alliance of the United States with the Kurdish people. It is a betrayal of the American people. We believe in protecting religious freedom and religious minorities. And we are seeing the desecration of both. As a woman, I am horrified to see the abuse, the murder, and the desecration of the bodies of the female Kurdish fighters. I'm receiving those images by the minute. And this cannot be the official United States policy. We are trying very hard to get all of this information right to the top of the State Department, because I believe it will enrage much of the State Department, including the president, when he gets to see exactly what has happened. Not only is it silent, that's a great question, but on the days that al-Shara launched his operation on Aleppo, January 6th, on January 9th, the EU released $721 million of funding to Ahmed al-Shara for the new Syria. You just showed footage of Iraq closing or securing its border, securing the border with Syria, as if to turn a blind eye to this situation. And we know that many Kurdish people are at home and agonized about this in Iraqi Kurdistan. This was a problem that was in development for the last decade. Experts in Europe and the United States warned that cohorting these ISIS extremists in the Al Hol camp and prisons could eventually lead to a crisis. And they have been denied repatriation by many countries, not Iraq. Iraq, very importantly, took these extremists back and is working at the Amal Center to de-radicalize them, and left them in this area and left them with the Syrian Democratic Forces that did their very best throughout a civil war to protect them with limited support. And now it is as if everyone has abandoned the Kurdish people and the Syrian Democratic Forces and is almost ignoring what is developing. Let me tell you what has already developed. In June, in Damascus, there was a bombing at a church where 25 Syrian Christians were murdered and dozens wounded. And that was by an ISIS cell leader who had links with the Al Hol camp. We are now going to see the beginning of widespread terrorism, not only in Syria. There's a danger of it spilling over into Iraq and elsewhere. And so this represents an international crisis, and I am stunned at the silence. Well, You may be correct that some have been recaptured, but I am hearing from people from our networks, from Yazidi families that are afraid and are being intimidated and taunted by these ISIS extremists. There are areas that are now encircled by Islamists. They don't have to be carrying the flag of ISIS on their shoulder to have the same ideology. I've just been sent these videos, brutal murders of Kurdish soldiers to the sound of Allahu Akbar. I'm a Muslim. But the way that they're making those chants and the murders they're performing is absolute pure jihadism. And so my concern is when Ahmed al-Shara speaks to the president of Iraq and talks about a unified Syria and border control, unified for whom? This seems to be unified for a Salafist or for a jihadist, but there's no unity and there's no safety or sanctity for a Christian or a Yazidi or a secular pluralistic Muslim like me, or for an Arab or other minority or a Kurd in Syria. Is that what the world is guaranteeing? There should be immediate snapback sanctions on Ahmed al-Shara and Syria. And Senator Lindsey Graham and other members of the American government are demanding that already.